On to the real estate conversation. We got a lot to talk about this week. You know, I've spoke about this on the show a few times, and you know, certainly, you know, people are always concerned about cycles in real estate. They, you know, the prices get, you know, prices get rampantly growing. People get concerned. Are we in a bubble? You know, are we going to see a slowdown? And you know, the one challenge I find when you have all this data that's out there, our real estate market has done very well for several years. We know that real estate cycles are typically 7 to 10 year periods where it's going great, and then it stabilizes and goes down. So, you know, the thing that I think normal home buyers need to think about, though, is if they're buying for a long-term period, you know, if they're buying for a 5 to 7 year period, you know, any kind of swing up and down in the real estate market, they really shouldn't pay attention to, because in reality, the downward spiral of your value only matters if you're selling. You know, it's like an asset that's going down. You really haven't lost anything until you go to sell it. If it goes back up, you're in good shape.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more. And yes, we have talked about it many times. I mean, that there's always going to be ebbs and flows, and any economic cycle, doesn't matter whether we're talking about real estate, stock market, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just, if you look at history, it's going to happen over time. It's going to go down,
right, at some point. And I think one thing that I think we learned with this last cycle was that, you know, financing got so easy and almost like, you know, a joke for people to be able to get a loan, and some of the people that are qualifying, and a lot of that has been tightened up.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s. A lot of that is tightened up. Now you got to go through approval processes, and you know, they're making sure that people qualify that can truly, really pay that loan. And I think that will prevent us from having any kind of humongous drops. Now, you know, I've said it on the show before. I mean, do I think within a couple of years we're going to start to see stabilization and some slowing down and price drops and things like that? Absolutely, I do. I mean, you started to see it in LA and New York already. It usually starts in the upper end price ranges. We've started to see some of that. But at the same time, you know, the average home buyer or seller that's buying and selling a $200,000, $300,000 home in Tampa Bay, it's not touching them, you know, anytime soon.
Yes, correct. And if you're doing it, like you said, as a long term, you're going to buy your house, you're going to live in it for, you know, X amount of years, you're going to be okay. It's people that are trying to be speculative and purchase something. You know, you have to be out by the 6-month mark or
right.
1 year mark. I mean, that's very, you know, that's
or people, and let's face it, happens in America. People get greedy, and they think that they can overprice their home, they can get more for it. And then, you know, they risk by, you know, it taking longer to sell because of that, you know, aggressive high price, and then they get stuck with it, you know. And that's the word of caution that we tell home sellers today, is that, look, no one can predict when things will start slowing down. We've already seen a few months in a row where we've had fewer home sales year over year compared to last year. Prices are still rising, which is great, but we have started to see less home sales happening. You know, so there's already some economic indicators out there that would, you know, a smart home seller shouldn't overprice their home, because you never know. I can't tell you how many people in the bust that we helped sell their home, that they've had it on the market at much higher prices and they were greedy with it. They priced it too high, and then the market came and smacked them, and they lost a lot of money because they were over ambitious about the price because everything was doing so great. And I'm a firm believer that when everybody, national and local press, is commenting about how great the real estate market is, that's usually a sign that it's probably gotten about as great as it's going to get, because they finally jumped on the bandwagon.
And that's where it is now.
Yeah, and that's what we've, I mean, all the people in the business have talked about it for 5 years. We've known about it, but finally the national press starts to pick up on it, because there's been enough news of great real estate market to override the years and years of bad real estate market, and it took them long enough to finally wake up and start talking about it. And now, the downside of that is that's when, you know, when everyone picks up on it, that's usually the sign that's like, okay. But you know, kind of on the other side of that, and I think this is really important for home buyers that are out there listening to this thinking, oh, well, I don't want to get stuck in that. Well, the only people that really got stuck in it were people that bought for the short term. If you're buying for the long term, you're safe. Or if you're buying and you expect to move up, you're safe, because when values drop, the value of the higher priced home is going to drop a greater percentage, so you'll have a bigger gain when the market recovers. But interest rates, people always pay attention to the price. They worry about prices of homes and values, and that's what the media presents as the most important data to look at. But what really matters is what comes out of people's pocket every single month. Interest rates at historic lows again. You know, and
exactly.
that is exactly what we need to be preaching right now, is you buy because of the rate.
Yeah, I mean, and they're still ridiculously low, and we keep talking. We've been on the show for, you know, over a year now, and just, you know, continue the economic reports the rates should go higher. They should. They should,
haven't.
but they haven't.
Right.
And it's still there, and it's still historically low, and it's just yes, you can wait until the next drop. Who knows when that will be?
But then rates are going to be higher.
But then rates are going to be
So
higher.
your affordability isn't going to be any better.
Exactly.
And that's what people fail to understand. They're like, oh, well, I'm going to wait for prices to drop. And I hear that over and over and over again. Well, you're putting down a lot of cash. I mean, what is it about that drop that matters to you? Because if that drop happens in price, let's say prices do drop 10%, but interest rates go up to 5 or 6 percentage points. Did you really gain anything?
Over
right.
the life
You're going to pay more. So people pay attention to the wrong numbers. They really, really need to pay attention to rate. So let's move on to another subject. We talk a lot on the market about the real estate market here in Tampa Bay. All the great tips that we give. You can check out all of our social channels. If you're listening to the show, you can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/The Duncan Duo, facebook.com/The Duncan Duo Show, and Twitter and Instagram @The Duncan Duo. We're constantly putting up real estate photos of listings, properties we're selling, as well as a lot of real estate news to keep you informed about what's going on with the real estate market in Tampa Bay. But I saw an article this week, specifically relating to new construction. And some critical things to think about when buying a new construction home. It's been known for a while that we've had inventory problems in Tampa, in that there isn't as much inventory, there aren't as many homes to sell. We see bidding wars and we see things like that still happening, which means, hey, our real estate market is still very healthy right now. I don't want anyone to mistake what I said earlier in the show for the health of our real estate market right now. I'm only talking about the prediction of a couple of years down the line of a potential change in the other direction.